When you were a kid, did your parents ever teach you how to use an envelope system for your allowance? One envelope for saving, one for toys, one for treats, etc. When one envelope got empty, you had no more to spend in that category until you got more money. Well, even adults find that this is an effective way to budget, although it's usually done digital now. The key principle is that there's no deficit allowed. So you don't try to spend more money than you have in the envelope. Well, if you want to have a productive day today, you can mimic that envelope system. I want you to think about your calendar as if it were a series of envelopes. So each time slot is an envelope. It's something that you can put a task in to accomplish during that time. Now, we have a certain amount of hours in a workday that's of a reasonable length. And what you can do is assign an amount to each task. So you're going to estimate how long you think it's going to take. And you can only fit as many tasks as you have slots or envelopes in your calendar. So you're going to identify the number of hours you plan to work, and then you know how many time slots you have. This is going to help you prioritize your tasks, and it will also help you tackle the most important things first. Another thing it helps with is to keep you from letting your tasks expand and taking up too much time. When we put limits on what we have to do, then we tend to be able to get it done quicker. So in this video, we are going to look at 4 different ways that you can create a calendar envelope system. The first way to create a calendar envelope system is with a paper appointment calendar. Now, you might have this in an agenda book or another type of journal. Generally, it's going to have times running down the left column, hours of the day. And it can maybe just be divided into slots of 1 hour, but some of them are divided into half hour or even 15 minutes. And when you first begin doing this, treating your calendar as an envelope system, you might want to just use entire hours. So if you were going to work 8 hours that day, you'd have 8 envelopes or time slots. But as you get more experienced at it, you might want to try budgeting your time by half hours, and that is going to help you be even more productive. And if you get really ambitious, you can progress to 15-minute increments. So why would we want to do that? Well, first of all, the obvious thing is that not every task is going to take 1 hour or 2 hours. Some of them will take an hour and a half or 45 minutes. And so if you are just using 1 hour time slots, say you're working on a task and you get it finished after 40 or 45 minutes, you may think, well, I'm not going to start another task until the top of the hour, until the next hour rolls around. So what happens to that extra time? Well, it gets wasted. And so if you are dividing your time into smaller envelopes or smaller time increments, then you're going to be able to be more productive because you can pick up those small amounts of time that otherwise would have been lost or wasted, and you can use them to get to work on another task. And the nice thing about using a paper appointment calendar is that it's so quick to update it. You can just jot it down quickly. You don't have to open any software or type anything. Just have a pen handy and you can write it down really fast. And so it can be really flexible. The other thing is you could take it with you. The one drawback to a paper appointment calendar is that if it gets lost, you're going to be in trouble. Whereas with something digital, you would have it handy. So each of these different systems that or ways that we have to create a calendar envelope system, they have pros and cons. And so depending on whether you like paper or digital, that will influence your decision. But one thing to remember is that when you write something down, it's more impacting. And so if you're going to use a paper appointment calendar and you're going to write down your priorities for the day, as you write them down, it is kind of sinking into your brain and kind of becoming more impacting, because when you write something down, it just strengthens it. So that was the first method, keeping a paper appointment calendar. Now, another simple solution would be to use an Excel spreadsheet on your computer. And you can set it up to look just like an appointment calendar if you want. You can put the times down the side in the left column. You could decide if that's going to be hours or half hours or 15 minutes. But another thing you can do with an Excel spreadsheet is to set it up with formulas. So you can actually use this as you decide how many tasks you think you can do that day, as you budget your time for the day. It will help you calculate it. And so what you would do is assign an estimated time value to each task, how long you think it's going to take. And if you were using a formula in your spreadsheet, you're going to have to use numbers that you can calculate. So instead of putting half an hour, you'd put 0.5 for half an hour. 1.0 would be 1 hour, 2.0 would be 2 hours, etc. If you want to do 15-minute slots, then that would be 0.25. That's a quarter of an hour. And so what you can do, you could write down all of the tasks that you would like to accomplish today. You can assign the estimated time to each of them, and then you can have Excel calculate how much that adds up to. And if it adds up to 12 hours and you only plan on working 8 hours today, then you're going to have to take some things off. You're going to have to prioritize and move the important things to the top. And so when you see that total of the estimated time for all the tasks put together, it's immediately going to show you if you need to take out some things, or if there's some space that you can add in some more things. That might happen as well. So if you like using computers, and if you like math and you like doing formulas, this might be an efficient way to set up your calendar envelope system so that you can have a productive day today. The third way I want to talk about is your phone calendar. Now, this can be very convenient if you don't mind typing on a small device and working on a small device. I have a little bit of trouble with that. I'm a computer person, but I know some people can type really fast on their phone and they don't mind that the screen is small. They can still see things fine. And so if you want to use your phone calendar, I would suggest that you switch to the single day view, because if you're just looking at the week or month, it's going to be really hard to see the small elements. So you would switch it to the single day view, and then you would look at all the time slots and you would assign your tasks in there. But it can be a little hard to see the whole picture depending on how long your workday is or how many tasks you put in. It might not all fit on the screen, so you might have to scroll to see everything. The other thing about using your phone calendar, it might not be as easy to move tasks around. And also the obvious problem with using your phone is that you might get easily distracted because of all the other things calling for your attention, like social media and email, things like that. Now, this is not to say that it's not a good option. It just depends on your personality and what works best for you. So we've talked about paper, we've talked about Excel spreadsheet. So the phone calendar is also an option. If you do find that your screen is too small and it's annoying to you, you might want to use a calendar on your tablet instead. And you can probably sync that to your phone, and then you could switch back and forth. So say you were leaving the house and you didn't want to take your tablet with you, you could just use your phone and still see the same information. So the phone calendar is definitely an option for your calendar envelope system. The last way I want to talk about is to use a computer calendar. And this could be something like Google Calendar. It could even be online. Doesn't necessarily have to be stored locally on your computer. Personally, I like to use Outlook, and this is my favorite way to keep a calendar envelope system. I saved it to the last because it's my favorite. So I use the Outlook desktop application on my computer, and I do mostly office work. So during the day, I'm at my computer most of the day, and I have 3 screens, so I can have different things open on each screen. And I like to keep my Outlook calendar open. Now, what I do in my Outlook calendar is I color code my roles. So I have 3 or 4 roles that I play as far as different things I'm involved in. And so one I color code as red, one is blue, one is green, and then I like to use yellow for personal tasks. And then if it's just something kind of routine, doesn't apply to anything, I'll just leave it in the default gray color. So this is very easy to do in Outlook, to color code your tasks. And so I take my tasks for a certain role and I give them this background color, let's just say red, for certain tasks that I'm doing that relate to my role as a translator. And so I also like to set aside whole days for a certain role. And so maybe I choose Wednesday, I'm going to work on translation work every week. And so I would take all the tasks that I see that have that red background color and I would drag them to Wednesday, and that's where I would budget my time for my translation tasks. So just to give you an idea. The other thing you can do if you want to have theme days like that, you can take a paler version of the color. So for red, I would use pink, and you use it as a background color for your working hours that day. And it kind of shows in the background. It's kind of like a subtle reminder that, oh, today you're supposed to be working on this role. For me, it's translation. And so it helps me to stay focused on my priority role for that day and not to get distracted. The nice thing about a computer calendar, it's so easy to move tasks around. You can just drag and drop, put it in a different place. You can also sync it to your phone calendar, so that can be very useful. So personally, I find that using a computer calendar, for me, Outlook, is the most effective way for me to have a productive day. So today we've looked at 4 ways to create a calendar envelope system to budget your time to be productive today. So we looked at using a paper appointment calendar, using an Excel spreadsheet, using your phone calendar, or alternatively on your tablet, and using a computer calendar. So I have a question for you. Do you use a paper or digital calendar to plan your day? Feel free to comment below. Do you use a paper or digital calendar to plan your day? Now be sure to get your free task triage worksheet by clicking the link below in the comments. This is going to help you prioritize your tasks so you can have a productive day. And stay tuned for more videos in this series, because we're going to dig into some more principles about this topic, which is Time Budgeting 101, where we are learning how to do a time budget for our day.